YouTube, it's Maddie, the Emptiness Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you stopped by. If it's your first time, I hope you enjoyed the content. And if you're returning, as always, I am super glad you came back. So for today, since it's a brand new year, Happy New Year, and welcome to 2024. I am planning to do a little review of my most reached for craft items for 2023. I chose 23 items and I hope you enjoy the content. I did do a similar video last year and I will be honest with you, most of the items are the same. If you're interested, I will link the video in the description, and if you saw it already, I apologize if this is a rerun for you. But without further ado, I'm going to give you my most reached for items. First up is my die cutting machine. This is a newer item to my craft room. This machine, the Mini Impress, will not be on last year's list because it's new to me, but I love it. It is a smaller machine. It is not the full size, but I am mainly a card maker for my die cutting, and it is perfect for like 90% of my dies. I love it because it cuts like a dream, has no warping, and it fits 90% of my dies. Formerly, I did use the Gemini Junior, and I still pull that out from time to time if I have a little bit of a larger die. The Gemini also cuts like a dream, but you do need to find the proper sandwich for you. For me, that includes a magic mat. I do have a video on that as well. And there are tons of videos on that across YouTube. So feel free to find your favorite video on that if you are working with the Gemini Junior and are not considering adding another die cutting machine. I also have a manual die cutting machine that is new to me. A friend of mine convinced me that I needed a backup to having only electronic machines because she said, what if you lose power? Now, think about it. If I lose power, because I said, oh, what if I lose power? And I ran and I got myself a manual machine. I decided on this one. Let's get it for a little view because she's so pretty. So it's the Spellbinders Platinum 6. And I pull it out from time to time, but not too often. And the hilarious thing is, if I lose power, I am not going to have any light. There is not going to be any die cutting if I lose power, but be this as it may, I picked it up. Okay, next up on my most used craft items is none other than my favorite trimmers. And I have two favorite trimmers. This one, the one I pull out almost all the time, is the Tim Holtz. Look at that, we've got some riffraff floating around. The Tim Holtz guillotine trimmer, or guillotine, however you like to say. It is a smaller trimmer. It's perfect for card making, but if you're a scrapbooker and you need a larger footprint, I have a trimmer for that too because I am a scrapbooker. But this one with a smaller footprint is super handy, cuts like a dream, and the only thing is you do also need a larger trimmer if you want to create larger card bases as well, because for a 5x7 this one is not quite so handy, but it cuts super clean and you never have to change or purchase a new blade. So this one, the Tim Holtz Tonic, highly recommended. Love it. My second trimmer, that I also love is my Fiskars slide trimmer. The slide trimmer is exactly as it sounds. There is a blade that slides up and down, and it's a much larger footprint. So this trimmer is something that I pull out every time I want to cut 12 by 12. It has an arm that pulls out, and I'll try to get you to see that in the shot. I know. There we go. So you can have it all the way up to 14 inches, 15 inches as a matter of fact. And the cool thing about this trimmer, and I'll try to get it to show up on screen, is that it has a wire guide. And if you've not heard of what the Fiskars wire guide is, I will try to show it to you. When you put your paper inside and you look at your paper, see if that shows up. I think it is showing up. There is a little wire that shows you exactly where your cut's going to be. And if you are cutting photos, that is super important. So scrapbookers have been using this for many years, and in fact you will see many card makers and paper crafters that gravitate towards this one. I love it as well. It's just a little bit, it's light, but it's a little bit larger, and I tend to reach for the Tim Holtz more often than not. Okay, next up are my handy dandy stamp positioners. I have way more stamp positioners than anybody needs, and I don't know, I had this idea in my head that I wanted to find one that was just right. The first one I picked up was Stamp Perfect, and it really was perfect for me. It absolutely creates a very crisp image. So if you're a crafter, you know exactly what a stamp positioner is. If you're new and thinking about what you want to pick up, I'll give you a little idea of what this handy dandy item is. It has a hinged door. It's acrylic, I believe, and you place your paper here. This is sticky grid, so your paper will stick to this piece. If you have a clear stamp, you use the cushion mouse pad that is in it right now. If you have a red rubber stamp, you pull that out and you put your paper here. I keep sticky grid here too. Either way, your cardstock is down here. You put your image, your stamp, exactly where you want it on here. Then you close the door, pick it up, ink up your stamp, and stamp the image. Now the beauty of that is, if you do not get a perfect image, and I never get a perfect image, although with this I more often do on the first try, but if you don't, you can close that hinge again or as many times as you need to get a perfect image. So this was a dream for me. It was only out for a short period of time because the company that makes the Misty, which was the first stamp positioner to come out with a hinge, had a lawsuit against every single company that came out with a stamp positioner. So this Stamp Perfect, Tim Holtz had one, Tim Holtz had two. There were a few more stamp positioners with hinges, and they all had to stop production, but I love this. It's perfect if you have a smaller item to stamp. It's got a pretty small footprint. So if you're making a 5x7 card and you want to stamp directly on it, this will not work for you necessarily. However, I do love this. At the time, I got it for like $12 at Michael's because I had a 60% off coupon. And the Misty, the original stamp positioner was like $70 or $90, and there's a world of difference in those two price points. Next up, I thought I would try something a little bit larger because this one, also a hinged stamp positioner. I used my sticky grid. There's also magnets. It works exactly the same way as I had said before. There are no sides. All the way around when you get it, there are no sides. And so you can put large papers on it. And I thought that was a good option to have. So I wound up putting a piece of foam here. See if you can see that. Yeah, that's a better view. So that I could have a nice corner to set my paper in, because if you used a stamp positioner before, you know that the paper might jump up, wiggle, and you don't know if you're going to get it in the exact same spot unless you have a corner to snug it up towards. So this one I got on Amazon. It is called the Stamping Pro. And this company is Artemio, I believe, if you can see that. But I've seen this exact Stamping Pro under different company names, and it looks exactly the same. This one is a little bit different. There is no mouse pad here. So whether you have a clear stamp or a rubber stamp, you use the same platform, because this is on, has got some give to it. And when you place it down, your stamp does not touch your paper, whether you're using a rubber stamp or a clear stamp. It will not touch your paper until you press down. And when you press down is when contact is made. It's a spring. Sorry about that brain freeze. These are springs. So this one also works well. It was not $10, but it was not $70 or $90. I believe it was somewhere in the $25 range, and it's still probably available on Amazon if you're interested in that. And then finally, eventually, I did get the Misty, and I got it in the original size. I believe the smaller size is similar to my smaller Stamp Perfect, but this one is a little bit larger footprint. It does not have an opening, so if you have a larger project to do, you're gonna have to use something either even larger than this. They do make a 12 by 12 one, which is enormously expensive, or they also you can use the Stamping Pro that has the open sides. So the original Misty, I decided to break down and put it on my gift wish list, and I did receive it as a gift because this one has metal hinges, and I really thought in the long run it will probably last longer. It's pretty sturdy. This plate is a lot sturdier than the Stamp Perfect. Not the Stamping Pro, but the Stamp Perfect. And does come with a magnet like the other ones. There's a little home for the magnet, but I still use the sticky grid. Works exactly the same. I have sticky grid under as well. So your paper goes here, your stamp goes on top, you pick it up with the hinge, you ink up your stamp, and you can put down that image as many times as you need until you get a perfect image. Now, this, you may not realize, what for me was a game changer, because when I tried stamping and only stamping blocks were available, I tried to stamp and every single image came out poorly, and I decided stamping's not for me. Let's see what else I can do, and I started die cutting until I found out about the replacement for the MISTI and did try stamp positioners at a more reasonable price. So if you're interested and you don't want to pay the $70 or the $90 that the MISTI is currently running for, take a look on Amazon and see if the Stamping Pro is still there, or eBay and see if you could find the Stamp Perfect. Either way, it's still a great option and works beautifully. That being said, I'm going to move along to my favorite inks that I stamp with. And absolutely one of my favorites is sitting right in front of me, so I'm going to pull some of my favorite colors, and that is Distress Oxide by Tim Holtz. So you can grab yourself a little rainbow of colors, any of the colors that you like. I love these oxides because I really enjoy ink blending, and if you like ink blending or doing different techniques with inks on your cards, these are my absolute favorite. They blend like a dream if you use the right paper. I can't recommend them highly enough. If, however, you want to talk about stamping sentiments and getting a clear image there, my favorite recommendation for stamping images is my VersaMark Claire. This is the black, but I do have the full set on this one in every color because they are also fantastic to emboss with because they will stay wet. If you're not embossing, just be sure to wait until this is dry before you mess with your project, because it takes a minute and it's very easy to smudge. But keeping that in mind, it's an excellent option for stamping your sentiments. Next up, I want to talk just for a second about VersaMark, and that is item number 5. This is not really an ink, it's a sticky glue pad. And what you do with this is you stamp your images and then you put on embossing powder, heat it up, and it gives you a lovely shiny embossed image. Usually I use that for sentiments, inside, outside, doesn't matter, I like them embossed. I haven't tried, there are many brands, and I'm not saying this is better than any other brand because I haven't tried them. This one works great for me. I have no need to replace it, and so this is what I go with. VersaMark. Also, it can make watermarks, and that's a beautiful look if that's what you're going for. So VersaMark is number 5. Going along with that, number 6 is my handy DND Heat Tool. Can't emboss without a heat tool. This is the Wagner. I've had it for many years. You heat it up just for a few minutes before you do your embossing. Once you've got your glue and powder on your project, you hit it with some heat and it melts that powder and creates a shiny, beautiful look. I recommend this Wagner very highly. If you're interested in getting the newer model, the newer model, not this one, comes with 2 speeds. I'm sure that's very useful as well. But what I have works great for me, and I'm sticking with it. So, to round it out, my most reached for items in addition, obviously, is my embossing powder. You can't emboss with just the glue and the ink. You have to have powder. My most used powder by far is my white, and I use Ranger for both, and my clear, white and clear. I use this all the time, and yet this powder lasts forever. So you can see I've made a dent in the clear at least, but I don't know, it may be another 10 years before I have to replace these. So I don't go trying all different powders when I'm happy with what I have. I just stick with it until I run out. And who knows, maybe I'll step out of my comfort zone and try a different one next time. But for now, my Ranger embossing powders are serving me well. Next up, I've got my erasers. So, the first one is the Tombow Mono eraser. This one is two-sided. You see it has a darker side and a lighter side. The lighter side is your typical run-of-the-mill eraser that you would find at the end of any pencil. The darker side has a little bit more grit to it and is excellent for repairing mistakes. And I just mean teeny tiny mistakes on your project. So if you have a white piece or any paper that that you have possibly smudged, if you're me, that happens all the time. So if you have here's just a scrap, and I'm going to make a smudge with my, let's use something that you can see more easily. Make a smudge with my ink. So I'm just going to make a little smudge because that's really the amount that it can help you with. So I'll pick up the paper so you can see there really is a mark there that may be similar to a mark you might have if you made a little mistake. So there, you can see it pretty well now. So what I will do is I'm going to take my eraser and see if I can make that mistake disappear. So if it's a small mistake, usually you can get rid of the entire smudge. And if it's larger, there may be other ways that will get rid of it more readily. But going to just dump those flakes and see what I got. It's almost completely gone. And I'll pick it up for you. Can't see it. So if you're like me and make lots of mistakes, pick up one of these. You won't be sorry. Next up is another eraser. This is a adhesive eraser. So if you make a mistake with your adhesive, Xyron used to make this eraser. I think they probably still do. However, I'm pretty sure I picked this one up at $1.25 tree. So they both work fine, and I'm going to give you a little demonstration on that. So here is a little tape runner, and I'm going to put a little tape. Again, probably not a great idea for large mistakes, but little mistakes. Oh, this one has my hair on it too. I'll see if it gets rid of everything, but there you can see the piece of tape with my hair. So let's see if we can get rid of that with the eraser. So I'm just going to rub that on that adhesive until I get it to disappear, hair and all. There we go. No hair, no smudge mark, no tape. So if you make mistakes like me and you have hairs on your project as well, these guys are very useful in the craft room. Next up, I did mention earlier how I love ink blending, and these guys are my favorite. So if you're a crafter, I am sure you have seen ink blending brushes. They have them in all of the popular craft stores, life-changing brushes, tailored expressions, I believe, brushes. These are from Dollar Tree. I like them because they are cost effective, they work like a charm, and they're color coded. So these are my brushes that I used with my oxide inks, and you can see the brush was originally white bristled, but because I have one for every color family, I don't bother cleaning them anymore. The handles obviously are color coded, and I do appreciate that. Newer to my craft room, and I'll show you these 3 new ones that I just recently received. They're the same as the ones in this spinner, and I'm gonna put this aside. And these are detail brushes, and these are awesome. If you have a stencil with smaller spaces that you want to get into ink without getting it in the other portion of the stencil that you want to do in a different color, these little guys are great. So you can see the difference in size, and I absolutely adore them. These brand new ones I'm going to use for my inks. The other ones that were used already I use with my oxides, and I can't recommend them highly enough. Also, I bought those on Amazon as well. Next up are my acrylic blocks. You can see I keep them right there. They're very handy. They come in all different sizes. This one's adorable. It's got the grids on it as well. They all have grids, all different sizes and shapes. Now, I spent quite a bit of time talking about stamp positioners, and now I'm talking about the blocks, which I can't use at all, and I can't. However, when I have a project and it needs to dry flat, if I am stacking sentiments or added the different layers to my card, I use these as to flatten out my project. So basically, they're just weights, and I use them all the time. Sometimes I have them spread out all over my glass mat, and it works fantastic. So even though I bought them for something else, I use them all the time. Next up, I'm going to go with my tape runners. I know a lot of people prefer glue. I really do love using a tape runner. So these are the 3 tape runners that I keep in my arsenal. I've tried quite a few. These are the ones that I do currently use. This one is a teeny tiny tape runner, and I only use it on crops. It's handy, it works great. However, there's only 10 feet of tape in there. You can get refills, and I always have refills. And as I said, it's handy for a crop. Other than that, I never use it because it is super expensive to keep filling up those teeny tiny tape rolls. Next up, the Easy Runner Grand. This one has 150 feet of tape. So that's quite a bit, will last quite a while. It is much larger than the little guy, but it is thin and light. However, these refills are expensive. They run $10 to $15. So also usually use that for crafts. However, on the regular, this is my tape runner of choice. It is a big, chunky item. However, I've had it forever. And it has 100 feet of tape. The tape really is very, very good. And the refills can be purchased at Tape Jungle. So when I purchase my refills in bulk at Tape Jungle, it costs about $2 a tape. $2 for 100 feet. This is made by Scotch. At the time I purchased it at Michael's with a coupon. It cost me about 20 bucks. I heard these are going for a lot more money now. I don't know if I had to replace this, what I would do, but this is the absolute most cost-effective way to use tape. $2. So for this one, the one that is lighter and has more tape, this is the Scrapbook Adhesives Easy Runner. The refills are tremendously expensive, $10 to $15, as I said. And this guy, super handy and easy to use, holds practically nothing. So, different tape runners for different uses. I would go with the Scotch every day and twice on Sunday. Okay, next up, we've got wet glue. So what I do is I put down my tape and then I top it with wet glue. And recently I've been using the Barely Arts glue. It is very strong and it gives you a little wiggle room when you put it over your tape. I've got this adorable glue topper that was made by Gloria Wolf, and you could buy her glue toppers on Crafty Critter, and she makes them custom as well. If you're interested, I can ask her how you would get one of your own. She makes those, and you'll see later I have a Pokey Tool that she also makes. So this is a great glue. I do like it. It dries clear, however, it is shiny. This glue, Multimedia Matte, that is a Ranger product. I believe it's Tim Holtz as well. And this is really my favorite one. I have to find a different bottle because I love the thinner line that this bottle is able to give, or maybe when I run out, I will fill this Barely Arts with this Multimedia Matte because this dries clear and matte, and I really appreciate that. So again, both available on Amazon if you're interested in purchasing one of those. I use those all the time as well. Next up is my white Posca pen. So my white Posca pen is something that I use pretty much on the regular, because if you want to think about a theme here, the theme is I make lots of mistakes. And if you make a mistake on your project on white cardstock, so let us make another mark. There we go. So let's say you were coloring, you colored outside the line and you're not happy with that and you have a mark like that. This Posca pen has acrylic paint inside. You have to shake it up. Now for me, I always start it on a scrap piece of paper because for some reason it blobs on me every time. Today it didn't blob, but very often it blobs, and I will cover that mistake with my acrylic paint. So I gave it one coat there, and when it dries I would give it another coat. You can see It's much lighter now, but you can still see the mistake. When it dries and you put on extra coats until you cannot see the mistake anymore, it is very hard to detect that you came out of the lines if you use acrylic paint because it is opaque. So you do have to layer it up, but that opaque acrylic paint will take away your mistakes. And if you craft like I do, got lots of mistakes. Yes, I do. Okay, next up, I alluded to it before. This is my Pokey Tool. Again, made by Gloria Wolf. It's adorable. She makes them custom. And I use this all the time. I have plenty of Pokey Tools. This is my favorite one just because it's cute. But they work exactly the same. You could pick them up anywhere. Tim Holtz makes them. There's tons of makers by them. So when you're cutting with your die cutting machine and you have some intricate dies, a lot of times a little bit needs to be poked out. This is what you need. Also, to hold things steady from time to time, Pokey Tool can be very, very useful. Next up, we have the gem picker. So here is my gem picker. It comes in a little case, and it came with 2 extra wax pieces. So it's the wax head that will pick up your gem and help you place it on your project wherever you like. So I'm gonna grab a little gem and show you how this baby works. Let's see if we can open this up. Pick up a gem. Hope you can see that. Looks like you can. So I've tried a jillion of these, and most of them don't work. If they work for a minute, and then they don't work anymore. You put down your glue, you pick up your gem, you place it down, and ready to rock and roll. So, Pokey Tool, also an Amazon item. I would highly recommend it. From extended use, they will wear out. So, like I said, I'm on my 3rd head right now, and I'll probably pick up some spare. It was a very inexpensive item, but it works great. So I highly recommend that one. Okay, number 16, my reverse tweezers. Here we go. So every crafter knows reverse tweezers. If you're not a crafter, maybe you haven't heard of it. I didn't hear of it until I became a crafter. So how it works is you squeeze it, and that's how it opens. So traditional tweezers, you squeeze it and it closes. This one, you squeeze it and it opens. You squeeze it and it opens. You pick up your project a million times easier. Then you can hold it like this if you're doing embossing, and hold your heat tool, or pick up sentiments and apply the glue, and then place it down on your project. Reverse tweezers, use them all the time, and I have for many years. So that is what I like about that one. Oh, maybe one you hadn't thought of, Emory board. So if you use a slide trimmer like I often do, from time to time, or even with the guillotine from time to time, you have a jaggedy edge. Sometimes you want a jaggedy edge, and that's a different story. But if you don't, you can take a no-name Emory board and smooth that out in a jiffy. Any Emory board will do. And I really love having that and clearing up those edges so it doesn't look all messy. And I really enjoy having an Emory board in the craft room. Next up, I wanted to just mention my tapes. that I like to use. So if you are a die cutter, you often will choose to hold your dies down with some tape, even if you're using a magnetic base. So I've used this one and it works really well. It's highlighter tape from Amazon, and I've used this one. It's from scrapbook.com, and it's their mint tape. Mint tape is sort of like sticky notes. It tears like paper. You don't need a scissor for it. And the key with these tapes is that they're very low tack, so they won't rip your paper when you try to take it off. This one does not rip like paper. You have to rip it off with the dispenser. This one comes in various colors. Choose your favorite. This one is only in mint as far as I know. So if you want to tape down your stencil or your dies and you put it on your paper, the fear is always you've got everything done, you pick up the tape and it rips your paper. Not with these tapes. So either one is a good choice, and I recommend them both very highly. Reach for them all the time. Next up, I brought these out before, and they are some gems. So I have a bunch of sequins that I pretty much don't touch in a variety of colors. I have some faceted gems. Haven't really used them very often in the recent because I love these. These are Studio Katia, and they are called clear drops. So they are basically exactly what they said. It is a clear drop. The reason I love that is because it matches everything. It is just basically an unfaceted piece of acrylic or whatever they make these out of. And so you don't have to worry about what it matches, but I believe it makes your projects look very, very elegant. And I like it a lot better than sequins or faceted gems. I do also like enamel dots. So they're basically like clear enamel dots, but they're not as in your face as faceted gems or sequins. The other one I like is almost exactly the same, but it is from Trinity Stamps, and it's called the Bubble Blowout. So that's what that comes in. And these are also clear drops, not faceted, but they do have, and I don't know if it'll pick up here, but they do have a sort of aurora borealis and will likely pick up the colors on your card. So if you want to get a little bit more interest than just the clear drop, the Bubble Blowout, looks like a bubble, is a nice choice. So those two are my favorites, and I reach for them way more than all the other little gems that I have in the craft room. Okay, next up are my pens, and I do have my black and white gel pens. So this one is the Signo. I'm sure you've heard many people say they use them. I sort of have a love-hate relationship with this thing. It sometimes comes out, it sometimes doesn't. I can't guess, but you always have to try to start it up. Oh, we're gonna work today. Only partially. There. So you can see, again, it will help you take away small, thin mistakes So you get it going, and it's pretty opaque. You can see it on the black. The one I like is just the one I've tried, and it works better than most of the others I've tried, but it still, you know, only works part of the time. This black one, I love this one. This one is fun. If you write with it, it looks like you've embossed. It's got that shiny. I don't know if it'll pick up, but I'll show it to you. It's really good for putting little eyes on your critters, shiny nose, whatever. I love this pen. I use it quite a bit, and I would replace it in a minute if it ran out. So this one is the Glaze pen, Glaze, in black. And can you see that? I think so. And I highly recommend that one. I find it very useful and fun. Okay, next up, number 21. Ooh, is my Nouveau glitter. Another shake it up ski. So this is a glitter brush. It's called Aqua Shimmer. You shake it up, you can hear it sounds like there is a little ball in there, and you place it down and it adds shimmer to your project. And I just have always loved using this. It gives you a hint of glimmer if you don't want to, let's say, do foiling or have a whole bunch of shiny going on. And I really like the look it gives, and it's just beautiful. So that one was number 21. Number 22 is my little Spre Bottle. So this one, I'm sure you've seen it all over YouTube. This one is awesome because it gives you a mist. So if you don't want larger droplets and you're doing a technique, if you want a mist, this is the bottle to get. It's on Amazon, and you just squeeze the trigger and a mist will come out. And sometimes a mist is what you want for your project. This one I got at Five Below. I think it was, I don't know, $3 or so. And it's just standard water bottle. Like to have some water at my craft table pretty much all the time. And this, if you want some larger droplets, let's say on a ink blended card from your oxides, this gives a lovely effect if you use it on your oxides and let it oxidize the ink. So the last item on my list I have, mainly because I like to make my own card bases. So if you make your own card bases on the regular, you're going to be using a scoreboard. So this is the scoreboard that I've used since I started crafting many years ago. It is the Martha Stewart. They probably still sell it. I am not sure that it matters which one you actually get. This is the one I have, so I use it. You know, it's a mini. It's very handy. And the bone folder, it's a Teflon bone folder. I bought it separately on Amazon. No name brand. I just saw on YouTube that the crafters felt it did not leave a mark. I actually never saw a mark on my old bone folder when I used that, but I thought I would try it, and I've been using it ever since. I also have a larger format Scoreboard, which I thought maybe someday I'd like to make larger projects or 3D items. It's been unopened since I had it, so I can't tell you whether it's the best that I've tried, because I haven't even tried it. But that's my list. That's my last item. Hope you enjoyed the content. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any of those items on your favorites list. And if not, please tell me if you have something that you would recommend, because I'd love to try it. So I hope you had a happy and healthy and safe New Year's Eve, and enjoy wonderful good health and happiness for 2024. Hope to see you again. Bye-bye, YouTube.